Well, I think we just have to recognize that this market's incredibly bifurcated between the relative winners of COVID-19. That's clearly the tech stocks who've had their earnings boosted and then the discount rate on those earnings slashed thanks to the central banks. And that's really what's driven, of course, many of these markets higher. And that's why we've got the S&P outperforming so strongly. But then on the other side, we have large areas of the market that are still very beaten up. Perceptions about earnings in those traditional sectors, cyclical sectors, very much the earnings trajectory is still very uncertain because of the virus, and then really not getting that boost from the lower discount rate. So we've sort of got this split market. So I think as I look at it, the question really for me is, do we just stay in this world for a few more months where tech and therefore the US market still continues to be the outperformer? Or at some point, do we get the better news? Is that because of the vaccine? And do we then get that rotation away from the previous winners towards the former losers? So that to me is the real question as we look to the coming months.
What do you make of the entry point on European markets at this stage? Because what we've had markets that have sort of oscillated around a range for the last couple of months. We're sort of just trying to chase back those July highs after a fairly significant sell-off took us back to the lower ranges. Does it mean there is an entry point here in Europe?
I think there is. I think, some of the stars have aligned for Europe. Particularly, I think the recovery fund was a really significant step forward, I think, to reducing the risk premium across European assets, because in my view, what that did was it reduced the breakup risk, which has been lingering really since the sovereign crisis in 2012. So that piece of the puzzle is in place. But for Europe to really start catching up towards the US, we need that cyclical story, and particularly we need the financials outlook to improve. And I think for that, we need to be getting into the synchronized recovery story. We need to be looking at the yield curve starting to steepen, and that will really help the financials. So I think we're moving in the direction. I think those pieces of the puzzle will come together, but probably not just yet. It's going to take a little bit more time. But for those that have patience and time, I think it is an entry point, Karen.